Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Lifetime's webinar for adoptive parents. I'm Kim King, and I'm here with Heather Featherston, and we are excited for this Q&A session just for families who are considering their next steps in the adoption process. Lifetime Adoption is a licensed child placing agency in the state of Florida, and we work nationwide. So if you have questions about how we can work with you in your state, please let us know. And to start off as with our live webinar today, if you are here listening live right now,
Mhm.
we want to encourage your interaction. And so you will find your questions box there in your dashboard or in your app, and you should be able to type something in there that we can see. Now, the other attendees can't see it, only Heather and I can see it, so it is private, but we will be answering your questions on the go. So please feel free to find that questions box. In fact, right now, why don't you type in what is your favorite thing about summer or favorite family tradition in summertime, or what you look forward to sharing with the child that hopefully will come to you very soon, perhaps through adoption. So type something in there. Hope that inspires you. We have one coming in, going to the beach. Thank you, Katie. Early adopter, no pun intended. Spending time walking through our local farmers market and going to garage sales treasure hunting. And you're going to find so many great things this summer. I just know it. Being home as a family. We are both teachers and are looking forward to a family trip to Disney. Favorite tradition is French toast casserole on Christmas Day. And woohoo, I can't keep up. I am a teacher, so my favorite thing about summer is working. Can't tell if you're being serious or not.
Working, with my service dog and horses. There was one more line there.
Okay, okay, okay. I need to enlarge my box here. Gosh, being matched while in-laws are here. Oh, that's wonderful. Days with our lake family at the houseboats with our dogs too. Wonderful. Yeah, that's great now and will be great in the future with your baby and as your child grows up through the years. Well, thank you for your participation. If you haven't gotten a chance to type yours in, we still want to see it. And this is where you can type in comments, feedback, questions that you have. We have several questions from our registration um, that you submitted early on, so we appreciate that as well, but we want to be sure to cover all the bases. We are probably not going to linger too long on some of the basics, but please jump in with your questions and we are going to get through as many as possible. I want Heather to be sure to share with families who are new to Lifetime, and this webinar is for families who are new to Lifetime. Remember, if you are a Lifetime contracted family already working with Lifetime in our program, you have your twice a month exclusive private webinars for adoptive parents in our adoptive family support. So be sure not
Mhm.
to miss out on those. You're always welcome at these public webinars, but they really are more, I would say, surface level, because we have a
General.
lot of families here. General, yes. We have a lot of families who are here that are just brand new to the process, and we want to be sure that we are answering those questions. But
Mhm.
anyone is welcome to attend your support network, you yourself as the adoptive parents. And we're just glad that you are here today to invest this time in your adoption. Knowledge is power. The educational component of preparing for adoption is so underrated, wouldn't you say, Heather?
Definitely. Definitely. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things that we really put a lot of value on at Lifetime. And that's why we have those two private webinars a month for families, because we have learned, and families have shared after the adoption, that because they were prepared, the process was smoother. They'd learned from other successful families, because we do invite families on from time to time. They learned from birth mothers. We've had birth mothers on webinars, and really just the opportunity to talk, interact, and learn has them better prepared both for their time at the hospital, their time while they're waiting, kind of those nervous first days, and then life after adoption in being lifelong adoptive parents.
And Heather, that makes me think, what can families expect as far as communication if you were to become a lifetime family? Of course, I'm going to go over a few steps that need to take place before that. But
Hmm.
let's say families are in the program,
Hmm.
coming in, what can they expect that to look
Sure.
like?
Sure. So every family is given a dedicated coordinator. You will have a coordinator who is your primary contact here at Lifetime. She will work with you in the beginning stages to ensure that we have all the information we need. That every family also has their own login and their unique adoption portal. So you will be uploading some documents, completing some further information, and she will kind of be your coordinator, will kind of be your guiding light through the waiting process. During that time, you'll also be working with other coordinators at Lifetime as you work on your page on Lifetime's website. As you work on a PDF profile and a video, you'll work with other team members who have specialties in those areas, and they will be the ones to help you. As we've mentioned a couple times, we have those twice a month webinars that we do live, just like this. They last an hour. We interact through the questions box, and sometimes we have guests. We recently had on a nurse who she was an OB nurse throughout her career. She worked in the neonatal intensive care also. She talked about substance exposure and what withdrawal symptoms can look like. So we really try to have a lot of education, information. And like I say, those are live, they're twice a month. And we do also have a private Lifetime membership site where we put like the recordings of our webinars. For families who may not always be able to make it live, the recordings are there. We do ask that every family check in with their coordinator once a month. It can be by phone, by email, by video chat. We have, you can always reach your coordinator through email, through the portal. We also have a text line that you can text on as well. When you have a birth mother who's chosen you, you will get a call from another coordinator. We have a team that specializes in working primarily with our birth mothers. And at that point, you know, getting to know a birth mother, ensuring that it is a good match, that's when families will kind of switch over and work with the birth mother's coordinator as their primary coordinator through the match process. And because most of Lifetime's adoptions are newborn, through the delivery, through those early days, providing you with all the referrals you need for attorneys and the information about the hospital. So there is always someone here and available. And like I say, families really that primary coordinator when you after you get started with Lifetime, after you've given your portal login, that's your primary coordinator who you will work with throughout the majority of your time here.
Yes, yes, the majority of your time here. And in the very beginning, there's a flurry of activity, like Heather
Mhm.
described,
Mhm.
getting situated, doing all the paperwork part of it, becoming paper ready, as we say in adoption.
Yes.
And then you kind of go into an autopilot mode where you are
Mhm.
doing your check-ins and you're listening to your live webinars or the recordings twice a month and waiting for that call. And we have lots of tips for you as far as how to productively wait and how you can stay engaged and prepared for your adoption, because your
Mhm.
adoption is really the event of a lifetime. So we don't want there to be nothing happening and then suddenly the event happens, right? What
Mhm.
we want
Mhm.
is to help you stay prepared, stay engaged, kind of like you're getting ready for marathon day. You
Mhm.
wouldn't
Right.
wait 6 months to do a 1 mile run. No, you would be
Mhm.
training for this. You'd be focused
Mhm.
on this while you're still living your life. But when that day of the most important event of your life comes, you will know that you have prepared, you've put in the time, you have the education, and you've got the 24/7 support of Lifetime here as well. So
Mhm.
that is all going to pave the way for a smooth experience, as smooth as possible, right? In
Mhm.
adoption.
Mhm.
Anything's possible, which is why that education and preparation and support from Lifetime is so important.
Mhm.
Um, but I want to back up for a moment. I mean, now that
Mhm.
you know what to expect as a Lifetime family, how do you become a Lifetime family? Well, the very next step, if you're curious about Lifetime and possibly considering adopting with Lifetime, the very next step for you, no matter what else is going on with your adoption planning, fertility exploration, fertility pursuits, other things going on, you are always welcome to fill out your application. The application is free. It's at lifetimeadoption.com. If you want to go directly there, you can go to lifetimeadoption.com lifetime.com/apply. That takes you right to the application, which you should be able to fill out within about 15 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. Most people can easily answer those questions just off the top of your head, just with basic knowledge of your contact information, a little of what you have in mind for your adoption, and some general questions about yourselves, like how old you are and what's your family makeup like. Do you have children in the home, or is this the first child, and so forth. So some basic questions. And then once you upload a photo, then that will make your application complete, and we get to review that. Lifetime's review committee can review that for you and get back to you within 1 to 5 business days. Now, we're going to have great communication with you from that first moment that we receive your application. You're going to receive an automated email within just a few moments of sending in your application, and that's going to confirm that, yes, technically something went through to Lifetime. And then on the following business day, when our applications coordinator, Becky Tauka, she will receive your application and start to process that and make sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, your photo is in, or reach back out to you via text, email, or phone call to let you know that she's missing something. Maybe you've got an email from her that you need to answer a few more questions. And then the review committee will receive your application and be able to review that and get back to you and let you know if we can possibly explore a little further. Lifetime receives about 400 applications on average every month throughout the year. So we receive a lot of applications, and as you can imagine, there is no way that we can actually offer an opening to every family. We are looking for about maybe 12 to 16 new families each month based on families who are completing their programs here at Lifetime. So when you apply, it is a free application. It's not obligating you to anything. We're looking for a partnership with families we can feel confident we can be successful for in a timely manner. So when you fill that out, you're still in the exploration stage. You're saying, hey, we're here. I want to learn a little bit more, want to find out if it's a possibility that I could work with Lifetime. A lot of times, adoptive parents do a lot of research online, and that's great. But sometimes they get their heart set on a specific agency and don't apply until they're ready to actually start the program and find out that there's no opening. So we encourage you to apply early on in your process. One, so you can find out if it's a possibility we can help. And two, that gives us an opening to provide you with more information because we have videos, resources, more details about the process, and can tailor that for you, such as when we have your video conference. We're going to guide you through setting up your adoption preferences, answer the questions that you have specifically about your scenario, and be able to really tailor that plan for you based on your needs and time frame too. Sometimes families say, well, we're not really quite ready to adopt for another 6 months or a year. Should we still apply? Or we're still kind of going through infertility. We haven't decided we're ready to adopt. Or, we've only been married a year or not quite a year. Or we had a baby, but we're suffering from secondary infertility, or there are medical reasons why we're not going to be able to have another biological child. Is it too early for us to apply? I think you should apply, and then we can explore further and set up a plan that will really help you kind of map
Mhm,
out and get a great way to meet your needs.
mhm,
So that's how you can get started with Lifetime. But let's jump into these questions, Heather, from the registration. I know we've kind of touched on some of these just
mhm,
naturally
mhm.
through our process so far.
Right.
Process and costs. So I want to email that to you because there's a lot of information, way more than we can cover in 15 minutes. So email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com, and I will send you all the details about the cost and a great infographic that lays out the complete process for you
Mhm,
of adoption from here all the way through finalization. And
mhm,
so email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. When you do, there's some information that I'll need from you, first and last name and what state you're in. And you are also welcome to share anything else about where things are for you and what brings you to adoption, what brings you here to Lifetime. So if you want the
mhm.
budget details, we will send that right over to you, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. Our next question comes from a military family. They are active duty, and how does the process differ
Oh, that's a
from,
great question.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Lifetime has proudly helped many military families adopt, including some that were stationed overseas at the time. In fact, I remember my first year here, we helped a family who were stationed in Japan at the time,
Mhm.
and it was a very interesting adoption to see them arrange their flights and how long it took. It was a beautiful, beautiful adoption, and the birth mother had chosen them because she had been raised by parents who were also in the military. So that was the type of life she desired for her child, and that's often what we hear from birth moms is that they do put thought into choosing the family, and that's good and important to know. And that is really woven into a lot of the things we do here at Lifetime. But for a military family, it really isn't dramatically different. Lifetime understands that you may be have to move during the process. Many years ago, we incorporated a contract freeze to be respectful of your service and also, the different things that may change that are out of your hands. So it, like I say, it can be very different because of that. Yet the process is often the same. Um, Really, each adoption is unique and individual, and we have to kind of approach it in that way. So being military, it adds a few things that are known, but similarly there's other families that have different roles or characteristics that also may add some little different things. So we're very aware. We definitely thank you for your service, and yeah, we are very familiar with helping military families grow.
Right. And let's say that you're stationed overseas. There are home study providers globally that you
Hmm.
can connect with through your community there locally where you're stationed. And there's always like one guy that does all the home studies in the area. So,
Right.
like in
Right.
Europe or Asia, there's like one main social worker that the military families locally have been using, or,
Mhm.
other civilians that are over there have been using. So, that's not a challenge finding a home study. And then once the match is in place, then you're most likely just going to need to have the legal services all done in the birth mom state, which is very
Right.
common in many adoptions. So, yep, that's kind of how it would work. And then you can also let us know, like, hey, we've got a deployment. We're still on board right now. We're ready for an
Mhm.
adoption at any time. Or, hey, we've got a deployment. We want to use our hold option, and we can guide you through that. So,
Right.
like Heather said, we completely understand and honor that. So, it is quite an honor and privilege to be a part of your adoption story as a
Mhm.
military family.
Mhm.
Samantha has a question. Do you need to have the home study completed and the training completed before applying?
Oh, great question. No, no, you do not. In fact, we have many home studies referrals for you because Lifetime has been helping families for nearly 40 years now. We have a lot of wonderful, wonderful relationships with home study providers across the nation. So we can also provide you referrals once we're working together. And a lot of our webinars, even the recorded ones, even the one like you're here tonight, might help go toward the training hours your home study provider requires. So it's very common. I would say most families start with Lifetime before they have secured the home study.
hmm Heather, what are the biggest stressors reported from adoptive parents during the process?
I think there's a few different, and it kind of depends on the stage you're in. I think before you are paper ready, as Kim said, which means on paper you're totally ready to adopt. You have your background clearance is done, your home study is complete. You've completed all the photos and information that we need to present you to birth mothers. Everything's ready. Um, During that time of getting everything ready, the stressor is certainly getting all the things because it can feel frustrating in that time that I can't believe it. They want what now? I have to get my tax returns. I have to get copies of my insurance cards, my driver's license, a marriage license. It's a lot of things, but it is because the social worker, your home study provider, is having to approve you to be adoptive parents. And every state has different requirements, and it's not that you're having to prove yourself, although it can feel like that. It is that you're meeting the state's minimum requirements to be a family approved to adopt. And while you're doing that, often you're also getting similar documents and things for Lifetime, which is why it's kind of good to do those two things at the same time. So a stressor during that period can just be, feels like we have a long list of things to do, but it's very much Marty Caldwell, Lifetime's founder. She used to say she'd work on her adoption an hour a day and she'd put it away, because really it is, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's kind of, you don't want to burn yourself out trying to get everything done in one day, because you can't. You will have to go to the doctor and have a medical form signed. You will have to probably schedule a time to go get a live scan done. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and it's better just to, live your life and work on it a little bit each day. So that time, like I say, the stressors, just, it can be a long list. Then once you are adoption ready, you're kind of in a waiting time. At Lifetime, we are showing you to birth mothers. We're sending out your website, your PDF profile, your video. You're available to be constantly found on our website through our family search tool. We're giving you tips on how you can do networking on your own from other families that have been successful. And that the stressor during that time can just feel like any stress you have when you're waiting. The biggest tip I can give families for that time is to, again, continue to live your life. Don't put your life on hold. Don't have the thoughts enter your mind that are like, well, once we adopt, then we'll be whatever it is, happy, a family, ready to start doing whatever. No, live your life now. Be stressed to live in that constant state of anticipation. It's stressful when you know, okay, I'm expecting something. It's going to come anytime. You have kind of a physical pose that's a little bit different. It's not sustainable for the long term. So
Mhm.
just know that Lifetime's doing what we're doing. You're checking in, you're doing your webinars, and you are living your life. And then once a birth mom's chosen you and you're matched, the set of stressors gets to be a little different. It is, is she sure? Is she going to change her mind? When do we travel? Those, and again, they're bad stressors. They're wonderful stressed a little different. Now, to parallel those to any other way of growing your family, pregnancy, even if it's through fertility treatments, or they're similar in that there's different stages. The stress is a little bit different, but it, I think regardless of how you do this, you have to focus on your faith, focus on the future, focus on not putting everything on hold. I think that's the most important thing, knowing that, what, God provides us the strength we need to get through each day. If we need to step back and reorganize or regroup, by all means do that. But the good thing with adoption is we are here. Lifetime is 100% here, and your coordinator can give you tools. The webinars are a wonderful resource, even the recorded ones from, a year or two ago. They're resources and help for every stage in adoption, and you're never alone. We are your partners in adoption.
You know what else, Heather? I think focusing on health is important for
Mhm.
adoptive parents because when you are on a path to growing your family, oftentimes just the natural things that pop up and the doors that you open and walk through, they can take a toll on your health. And I
Mhm.
think focusing on getting to a healthy place physically and mentally is very important for adoptive parents. Not only that, but
Mhm.
birth moms, they care about health too. They want to know
Mhm.
that you're going to
Yeah.
be able to take care of their child, run around, be active and involved, and be there to see that child
Right.
through adulthood and not look and say, wow, I wonder if there's going to be a medical concern with this family that they're maybe not going to live until my child is old enough, or that they, may have health concerns they need to address. So while you are waiting to be chosen by a birth mom, it's a really good time to, focus on your health. And that might mean that you slim down a little bit, maybe, maybe not.
Mhm.
We don't know. Being healthy doesn't always mean
Mhm.
weight loss. But if you do,
Right.
then remember to take some new photos, okay? Because we want
Yeah.
who walks through the door to be what she's expecting.
Yeah. And I think that kind of brings another aspect to it that I didn't mention, but I actually, one of the adoptive family coordinators, Joy, and I did a webinar a few months ago, and it was about preparing for parenthood. And that was one of the things, and it is, and certainly we don't have requirements that you have to get in shape. That's not why I bring this up, but it was the question that came up was, can you see yourself getting down on the floor with your child? Can you see yourself, when your child's in kindergarten, you don't, and you go to help, you don't get an adult seat. You're sitting in a chair for a 4 or 5 year old. Can you see yourself there? And again, it's just one of those things that is good to reflect on while you're waiting to adopt. And usually when you're carrying a baby, when you're pregnant, the help and support you get is a little different. It's a little more geared toward the pregnancy and labor and delivery. But that's one thing we do, try to interject as we can is, life as a parent, giving those tips and tricks from other adoptive parents too, that really sometimes we don't think about because we're on a little bit different journey.
And everyone's journey is different. Here's another question. How long can an adoption process last? Well, we have families that have adopted within the first few weeks to few months to a year or two, and sometimes longer. Your adoption preferences really play a big part in that, because however broad
Mhm.
your preferences are and what you're willing to accept in an adoption,
Mhm.
that means more birth moms are able to have that opportunity to be shown your profile and choose you. Or if
Mhm.
your scope is pretty limited, pretty narrow, not open to a lot of things, maybe pretty narrow on race, for example, maybe only open to
Mhm.
one or two races, or maybe a few races, but not races we really see in adoption in the US.
Mhm.
So, you really want to talk with your coordinator and say, what can we do to broaden our preferences so that we can be shown to birth moms we would say yes to and never miss out on an opportunity. And everyone's story is so different in
Right.
adoption.
And I think that's good to mention also, Kim, is that Lifetime is birth mother driven, which means that the birth mother chooses the family. And so I mention that because we have, it's part of our recipe on the photos to use, the words, the different things we incorporate. We don't tell you what to say, but we give you the guidelines and the reflection and the information we're hearing from birth mothers right now, today.
Mhm.
Um, we frequently kind of shift and change things based on what birth mothers are saying today. So it's also an important aspect of our program, or to be honest, any adoption program, that you put effort into your photos, into your words. You don't just dial it in. You don't go through your cell phone to see what photos we have that might work. That's an indication that, you know what, that's not our best effort. We really want to show a birth mother what your life is like, what a child's life will be like with you. And usually those aren't photos we have on our cell phones. Photos we have on our cell phones are often, us at our best, out to eat, on vacation, those types of memorable moments in our lives. But, birth mothers want to see everyday life. And so we help walk and guide you through that. And with that, Kim, Isabel asked a great question, and this is probably the last one we're going to have time for today. Have you noticed any specific trends or shift in expectant moms or adoption situations recently? Age of child, birth parent characteristics, etc. And I just want to applaud you, Isabel, because that's a wonderful question. In terms of uh, trends or shifts, I think what we have seen more in the last, I would say, year to 18 months is we have seen more birth mothers waiting till the last minute. And the last minute can mean, I'm due next week, or it can mean I just delivered. That's what happened yesterday. We got a call from a hospital, and mom had just delivered. and she didn't speak any English. So it was a little bit of a flurry of, and the hospital didn't have a translator. So it's a little bit of a flurry of getting a translator so we could have a solid conversation to ensure adoption. Permanent adoption is what she's looking for. It was, a little bit of a flurry getting an attorney who could get over there quickly. And although it does not happen very often at all, it's quite rare, the birth mother said, I would like Lifetime to go ahead and choose the family with a few characteristics she requested. And when the family got there a few hours later, she wanted to meet and spend time with them, which they did. And we had a translator there so they could communicate. And it's a beautiful family. Text us photos first thing this morning. Beautiful, beautiful baby girl. That is one of the trends we have seen, is it happens faster. Typically, birth moms still want to choose a family, and we can do that very easily. But that is one of the things. I think one of the shifts we are not seeing as much as we were in the past is that we have a lot of young teens. That is something that is really,
Can you repeat
our
that, Heather?
average
It
age of
cut
birth
out a bit.
mother is sure. Oh, sure. I was going to say one of the trends, the shifts in birth parent characteristics we've seen is we are not getting a lot of young teens who are pregnant. Our average age has probably gone up to around about 24 or so. So it's just one of those um, cultural things that it's not, there's not the whole shame wrapped up around pregnant unwed mothers. That term is really a thing of the past anymore. And so for that reason, we're seeing a lot more families um, come and support their young teen who's pregnant and choose to raise the baby within the family. So that's something that I think is good to know and understand. Most birth mothers are not teenagers who made a mistake with their boyfriend. That's not the reality. Most birth mothers, I would say most of it, if I could pick an average, this is not all by any means, an average, is a mom who already has a child. She doesn't have much support from the father. She may have burned her bridges with her own family. Um, and she is choosing adoption because she wants more for her child than she can provide. That really kind of sums things up. One other last trend I'll mention, because you are in the beginning stages. In the past, probably 5 years, probably right. Well, no, let me shorten that up a little bit. Probably about 3 years. We have seen an increase in need for birth mother expenses. And certainly in the last 2 years, it's because inflation and everything has gone up. But probably a little longer, 3 to 5 years, it was because of some of the changes in insurance. A lot of insurance changes meant that some women who previously were eligible for emergency Medicaid were no longer. And some of those included, say, 25-year-olds that were still on their parents' insurance. And those insurance plans did not include obstetrical care for dependents. So there's just been a lot of shifts and changes in the last 5 years or so that have affected birth mother expenses. So we have seen our average on birth mother expenses shifting up a little bit based on some of those factors. So,
So yeah, we saw that increase maybe 1,000 or two, right? To put it
right,
in just
right,
perspective, not like 10,000.
correct,
But
correct.
right, yes, we and definitely saw more of a increase in
And our
housing need. Yeah,
yeah, our average birth mother expenses are around $5,000, but
yeah,
not
total, not monthly.
total. Not
Hmm.
all women need it. Some need nothing. Some need more.
Hmm.
That's kind of average.
Yep. Well, that was a very interesting answer, Heather. I appreciate it. Great
Sure.
question, Isabel. We're looking forward to hopefully starting your program soon. And for all of your other questions that we are not able to get to, we know it's the middle of the day slash evening for many of you listening, and we are in the middle of our day as well. We appreciate you taking these 30 slash 35 minutes out of your day with us, and we encourage you to continue taking the next step in exploring, and the next step in your process, and the next step in keeping in contact with your coordinator here at Lifetime and really discerning where the Lord is leading on your path to the baby He has for your family. Be sure to fill out the application if you haven't. It's at lifetimeadoption.com. If you've got specific questions, please send them to your coordinator. If you don't have a coordinator, email me, Kim, at lifetimeadoption.com. If you are thirsting and hungering for more information, you want to keep this process going, you want to listen to more, you can go to adoptionwebinar.com. We have lots of free webinars there, hour-long webinars. If you are more of a person that wants to read, check out Lifetime's blog. You can query by topic, such as home study, lots of different things. You can query in our blog for adoptive parents at lifetimeadoption.com. And, you can also read through our frequently asked questions. So we've got some really in-depth answers there, and oftentimes families just read through everything and love it so much and say that we're one of the few agencies that really puts out so much information and makes the process more clear. So again, thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one and helping you with your next steps.